This looks like a boring desk job, but it's anything but.
I pop over to the West Wing maybe, I don't know, Mike, 5 or 6 times a day.
At just 27 years old, Joshua DuBois heads up the White House Faith Office. He may be young, but don't underestimate his ability or clout. Just look at the scorecard.
Let us pray.
He helped secure Rick Warren to pray at the president's inauguration. He set up the meetings between then-candidate Obama and big names like T.D. Jakes and Franklin Graham. Whether it's searching for a presidential church home, pushing for common ground on abortion, or yes, even texting the president Bible verses every morning, DuBois is central to it all. Joshua DuBois spent a good chunk of his life right here in Nashville, Tennessee. It's a place he considers home. But even though DuBois works for a president with some liberal tendencies, his upbringing was really anything but liberal. As a matter of fact, the home was filled with Focus on the Family radio broadcasts and the conservative evangelical Salty, the Singing Songbook.
I'm not going to hum anything for you, David. I'm sorry.
With an infectious laugh and a work ethic second to none, DuBois comes to Nashville for relaxation. You can call it a Beltway detox treatment.
That's what we got on TV.
Growing up, his family life was filled with many Christian influences.
Whether it was, listening to Focus on the Family or David Jeremiah or, Salty the Psalm book tapes, just a lot of really positive, influences and reinforcement around me and really helping to shape my perspective.
His parents made sure of that.
God is the center of our lives. Christ is who we are committed to.
And Joshua was getting the full spectrum of faith perspectives. His stepfather, who he is close to and affectionately calls Dad, is a pastor with the African Methodist Episcopal Church.
Joshua was also exposed to various teachings from various perspectives, simply because our life's so centered around the church.
Joshua's journey may have started in a Christian home, but it wasn't until college that the idea of a relationship with Jesus actually took off.
Although I had grown up in the church, I, as with many folks, sort of had a path away from Christ, and my pastor really sort of led me into an intimate relationship with Christ.
That's when it became truly personal.
I think it was sort of taking me away from sort of the formalism of religion as opposed to the intimacy of relationship.
He eventually became an associate pastor in the Boston area. He earned a master's degree at Princeton and gained a thirst for social justice. DuBois found himself trying to choose between ministry and politics when in 2004 he heard a speech that made a difference.
We worship an awesome God in the blue states.
That line did it. A candidate who saw a life where faith and politics can and do intersect. After much persistence, he began working for then Senator Obama. It eventually led to becoming faith director of his 2008 presidential campaign.
There's got to be a fundamental healing of the wounds that are dividing people.
So this was DuBois during the campaign before Obama became a big deal, holding faith town halls where just a few dozen people would show up, trying to convince people one at a time that faith matters in public policy. Now, as Obama's faith director, the crowds are larger, the stage is bigger, but the message is still faith-centered.
Whether it's a job training program or financial literacy or all these programs related to the economic recovery, where the state government's not doing it and the local government's not doing it, faith-based groups are doing it.
To say this job is not without challenges would be a major understatement. DuBois realizes the president has plenty of critics.
We have to throw our doors wide open and find common ground with folks from all across the spectrum. And so these are healthy conversations. Now, there are points of disagreement, of course. We're not going to gloss over the fact that, we may not agree with every organization about everything, but there are lots of points of agreement as well. Reducing
the number of abortions is a priority, and DuBois sees increasing incentives for adoption as part of a common ground solution.
We've concluded the set of meetings, and now we're just kind of compiling and getting ready for the president, and then, he will eventually talk about where he thinks we should be going.
So while DuBois plugs away for the commander-in-chief at his dream job, his parents back in Nashville say a familiar prayer.
From the time Joshua was born, I prayed for his protection, and I pray for his wisdom. that he will hear God and he will follow his direction.
David Brody, CBN News, Washington.